In today's tutorial, I'm going to go over how to use direct to stamp with your markers with the Misty to get perfect images. This is something that I really didn't do very often before I got my Misty because, as you know, if you've done the direct to stamp method, there's a little bit of time in which the marker can dry, or because it's a marker and not ink, it doesn't coat the stamp properly. And I just didn't get such hot results, and so I used it very sparingly. But today, with this adorable little Airmail stamp, I can get a perfect image. You'll see me inking up my stamp with the marker and stamping it on the cardstock, and I'm using my positioning grid, the quilting guide, that I'll provide you a link to make sure that the second time that I stamp, the cardstock is lined up so that the Airmail image can just continue in a line. And you'll want to use your magnet for this since my card isn't in the corner of the Misty. You want to make sure it doesn't move. And you'll see that I'm over stamping the line that I previous stamped, and that's kind of the glory of this accuracy. And in addition to being able to precisely overstamp and not have any halo or fuzziness, it makes the previous stamped images darker, cleaner, more perfect, in addition to allowing me to extend this line. So I really had a lot of fun figuring that out. You'll just want to take a minute to make sure everything's in precisely the right place. I'm using Pacific Point and Real Red markers here, and they are beautiful for this Airmail image. I just love that pattern. I love red, white, and blue, period. And speaking of red, white, and blue, I do want to put in a plug for the fact that this tool is made in America by a coalition of small businesses, the inventor, and then the American manufacturers that make some of the pieces for it. I'm very happy about that. You guys know how I feel about things that are made in China. So I'm excited to be using something that is... Oh, hi, Maddie. Maddie would like to be on the video. I'm very happy to be using something that is giving my fellow Americans jobs. So now I'm going to move on from the Airmail stamp, and I'm going to add another image, this time a little airplane. And the airplane is such a cute image. It has a contrail that actually makes a little heart. So it's like a trick plane. So here I am. I was going to edit this out of the video, me trying to figure out where to put this image. But since this is something we all do, I thought that it would be fun to just let you see that I hem and haw around a lot when I'm trying to find the perfect placement. What's happening in my head here is I'm trying to figure out the colors. So I want it to match. I want it to be in red and blue, not black. And so I'm trying to figure out, do I want it to be red and line up with one of the red images in the Airmail stripe, or do I want it to be blue? And I eventually figure out that because it's a heart, I think I would rather have the contrail be red and then have the airplane be blue. I just got to figure out where on the card I want it. And after much indecision, I figure out that really a horizontal contrast to that vertical Airmail line would be best. And sort of towards the bottom of the page, because I think I know what greeting I'm going to use. So I pick that up, and now I have to ink it up again. I'm going to adjust my imaging sheet just a little bit. I think I had my tape in the wrong place, and it wasn't exactly seated in that corner. So like I said, I want the contrail to be red. And this contrail image is actually made up of teeny tiny little dots. I know it's hard for you to see that, but it's adorable. It's sort of like a bumblebee trail, you know, with little polka dots. And then the plane and the contrail are actually separated by a little space. And so it's pretty easy to get the marker in the right place and not have them overlap, which is another hazard of direct to stamp. So if I'm real careful, I don't even have to touch the red marker to the area where the airplane is. Now I actually moved that sheet and so I let it dry. So I'm just re-inking it so I can stamp it, or remarkering it, I guess, so I can get it perfectly stamped. And I can do that as many times as I need to. Now, my sister called me while I was filming this video, and it adjusted the white balance because I was filming this with my phone. And I'm sorry about that. So it looks like the plane has no contrail, but in reality, it's just like, what is that Food Network show where that lady works in overexposed light all the time? Sara Lee, Semi-Homemade. So just imagine you're watching an episode of Semi-Homemade and I'm bathed in this angel glow while I'm stamping. I'm sure I'll get picked up by Network any minute now. So now I stamped it again. Like I said, that's the beauty of the MISTI. Even on these tiny little delicate images, I can stamp them twice. And they are beautiful and perfectly solid. So now it's complete. And look how adorable that little plane is flying out from the Airmail. It seriously cannot be any cuter. And I'm going to use a greeting from a new set called Lovely Amazing You. And you're probably thinking, yeah, I know, you use that on every card. And it's true. I love the scripty font. It's completely ridiculously hard to resist every single time I make a card. I'm using one of my little stamp wipes to clean off the stamp and get rid of that. And now I can put this stamp where I need it to be. And I just lay them stamp side down onto the card and line them up. Sometimes I use that little template to make sure that it's perfectly straight. If I'm down near the bottom, it's easier for me to sort of see where that's going to be. But you do, when you're using clear stamps, I was using a cling stamp before, you do need to put your foam back in there. So I realized that I hadn't done that. So I just need to adjust my stamp a little bit. And that's just approximating that height of a cling stamp when you're using a photopolymer stamp. And I can see with the grid on the top of the MISTI that I did line it up correctly. That's like your last double check if you don't use the transparency. So you don't have to worry you're going to get it crooked because you have 2 chances to get this right. Now here I'm using India ink. It's just a go-to black ink for me. And I love it because it dries instantly. And I'm stamping that image. And then because I can, I am going to stamp it again and make sure it's the crispest, deepest, darkest black ever. And that I have an absolutely perfect impression. So there you go, sending wishes your way. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.